Hello, YouTube. It's been a couple of months since checking in, and I just had my 1 year anniversary of having a JOB, being a W-2 employee. And I figured since I am a Scrum Master now, I should do a retrospective over what this last year project of going from being a self-employed hairstylist to transitioning into the tech world. It just makes sense to me to reflect on what that year has been like and do a retrospective. And I have no idea who's going to see this, or if you are a hairstylist or a creative person transitioning in from being self-employed into being a W-2 employee, or having a 9 to 5 or whatever, kind of going the opposite route that it seems like most people tend to go. So I'm just going to reflect on what has worked, what hasn't worked, lessons learned, things I'm going to do differently moving forward, and action items, and just kind of recap what this year has been like. This will probably be a longer video because there is a lot to talk about. I've been thinking about what I've wanted to say and what this last year has been like for a couple of weeks. So this is my opportunity to put all these thoughts into nice, concise package and share it with you, and hope that maybe it can help give some insight is if you are considering making a career change, or if you just for whatever reason like to listen to people talk. I don't know. So before I go into the retrospective, I just wanted to give an update. The last time I did a video was shortly after I participated in the WESIS CTF. That event was rad. It was so awesome. It was so much wonderful learning in such a short amount of time, and I really enjoyed it. And it was just confirmation to me of, yes, this is the right direction. Yes, I still want to pursue this direction. I still want to go in a more security direction, and I'm actually interested in learning the more technical side of what I believe are some very basic exercises for being a pen tester, that it seems like a lot of people when they get into security are interested in being on the red team, being a pen tester, because it's very alluring. It feels really cool to be like, yes, I'm an ethical hacker and I can hack your shit, but it's for good. I'm like Robin Hood. And I myself fall into that category. I have not, of course, been a pen tester yet. I don't know what it's like to actually write the technical reports and that side of things. So maybe I'm still romanticizing that, but that still seems to be the most alluring direction. So I am going to continue pursuing that. And since the WESIS CTF, I met a friend, Michelle, who has been a wonderful resource, and we have stayed in touch through LinkedIn, and she's continued to send me classes, courses, videos all about cybersecurity education and learning that are either free or very, very reasonable. And I am so grateful to her for that, for being such an awesome, willing to share person. And one of the links that she sent me was for a program called Learn and Work in Utah. And it is essentially a program that the governor's office has partnered with a couple other organizations in Utah, and has partnered with several, actually quite a few colleges in Utah to offer free college level short-term certification courses to help people reskill and just advance in their careers without having prerequisites. It is incredible and such a, wow, it just blows my mind how amazing this opportunity is. So she sent me the website, I looked at it, and the applications were closing in the next 4 or 5 days. So I knew I had to apply immediately. So I got right to it and I applied, and I looked for all of the cybersecurity programs and applied for all of those. And this is on a Thursday. So on a Thursday, I applied. I got my acceptance email from Snow College on a Saturday, but I didn't see it until Sunday. And the email was like, hey, congratulations, you've been accepted. Classes and registration start tomorrow. And I was like, oh my God, okay. What did I just get myself into? But here it is. Like, this is what I've been looking for, is an opportunity like that. And I knew it was out there. I just didn't know exactly what it looked like or where it would be found. But there it was. It was presented. And so I started that. And because I wasn't planning on starting that, the first 2.5 weeks were pretty slow for me because for whatever reason, life was just, everything was happening all at that time. So my free time and bandwidth were just really, really limited. So I think I was only able to do like an hour every other day or every 3 days or something. But since then, I've committed to at least 2 hours a day. Some days I miss, but then I'll try and do like 3 hours the next day. So that has been super awesome. I've loved learning that. It still is a little tricky to like get in the mode of like, okay, I'm going to sit down and learn and absorb for the next 2 hours and take notes. But because I'm excited about what I'm learning, it is easy. And because it's in a really nice sequence that builds on each other, it's really easy to go through and just absorb everything. So I'm still in the very beginning course. It's the IT Essentials course. So I've been learning about hardware. Right now I'm learning about CPUs and processors. And I feel like that's, even though it's not directly related to security, it's the foundation. And I think I'm really happy to be learning about this side of things. So it's been awesome, but I'm also super excited once I get to the networking and cybersecurity part of the program. That will probably take me another month or so. So I'll look forward to that, but I've been having a really good time in the meantime. So I am now going to get into the retrospective part of what this year has been like, and I will start with what has worked. So I have my notes over here, so I'm referencing them. So the number one thing that has worked for me has been being able to work mostly remotely. I love working from home. I love seeing my dogs during the day. I love being able to go out in the morning and watch my dogs play as I am checking emails or starting to set up my schedule for the day of like, I have this meeting at this time, I need to do this, da-da-da-da. It feels so good to get to do those things from home and just have like a nice morning routine and just time for myself to set the tone for the day. I love, love, love having that ability. And I also have loved having the ability to work from anywhere. Like in the last couple of weeks, I went to my dad's house and worked from there. So it was nice to have a visit with him and be able to work and not have to choose. I'm either going to visit him or I'm working because I can't do both at the same time. I love the integration aspect of being able to work remotely. It's like being able to have your cake and eat it too. And I love that. It suits me really, really well. At least in this situation that I have with this job, it has worked remarkably well, and I am so grateful for it. I am so much happier to be able to work remotely and do things at my own pace and set up my day and still be super, super productive. So another thing that has worked really well has been having amazing support from my partner, from my mentor, Jen, who was in the podcast with me, from my boss, who is an incredible human. I feel so, so fortunate that my first job experience has been with a boss like I have and with a team like I have. I was super intimidated coming into this and was not sure how I would be received because I came from a very non-technical background, and I was really concerned about just how welcoming people would be and how well we would take, or if I would be able to adjust or keep up with these brilliant people. And it has been incredible. I have loved it. My teams now team are awesome. And I could not ask for a better team to work with. It's been so great. And just having the support of those people being encouraging and nice and answering my questions, and never, ever, ever, I don't think I've ever felt judged or ever felt like I asked a bad question because it was something I didn't understand. I felt supported the entire time and encouraged, and I love that. Another thing that has worked really well has been to take opportunities for new learning. So that is like the WESIS CTF. That's the Learn and Work in Utah program that I mentioned, the networking and cybersecurity course that I'm doing now through Snow College, getting my Scrum Master certification, doing online learning through Try Hack Me, gamified learning. It is awesome and has been great. And also just talking to the engineers that I work with. They are so willing to answer questions. Like when I was getting ready for the CTF, one of the engineers helped me so much and helped me get prepared with installing a couple things on my computer as tools to use for some of the typical CTF type of challenges. He taught me all about different protocols and took the time to educate me, and it was rad. And whenever I've had a question going to the engineers, I do my best to find my own answers as well as I can and present that information before I ask a question so I can ask a better question to get a better answer. So having the willingness of a bunch of brilliant engineers to answer questions and educate me has been so awesome. I love it. I love being around smart people, and that has been wonderful. Oh, another thing that I've been doing that fits into the new opportunities for learning category has been the days that I do go into the office. I have a set office day. So the days that I do go in, I have been re-imaging some firewalls. So that's really cool. It's just going into the BIOS and re-imaging what they are reading and then making sure that they come online. And it's a fairly simple process, but that's been really cool. And I have learned to evolve my process so it is super, super efficient, and I fit things in, and I'm quite strategic about how I start to re-image these firewalls, so it is just there's something happening the whole time, and I can do quite a few in a short amount of time just by paying attention to what parts of the processes take longer and readjusting my process around that. That's been really, really fun. And now the last major thing that I've thought of that has worked really well is when I do go into the office, which typically has been one day a week. I chose that day because they do yoga that day. And I figured, hey, if I'm going to drive at least 45 minutes twice a day, I would like to participate in this yoga class. So I am not only seeing my teams and my people, but I can also reconnect with my body and stay me. I love yoga, and having movement incorporated in my day-to-day activities is super helpful and helps me just continue to be best version of me. Another thing that's worked really well in that category is when I do have my one-on-ones with my boss in person that day, we've done a couple of walking meetings, or we've gone outside and sat underneath the umbrellas that are outside, the benches with umbrellas outside. And it's just been really nice to be outside and get out of the fluorescent lighting box that is an office building. I think it's just nice to get vitamin D. It's nice to feel the breeze, to see the mountains, all of that good stuff. So being able to bring myself and my perspective and what works well for me and offer that in different ways that seems to work well for other people too, and is a good opportunity, hey, let's get outside for a second and just reconnect and not just be in a building all the time. So now, what hasn't worked? So pretty much since I started this job, I've given myself a couple chunks of time away from the salon, and I've definitely slowed down a lot at the salon because it's impossible to work full-time at the salon and full-time job. That just doesn't work. But what I was doing for a while is still taking clients almost every day after work, because I know it was a lot. I did it on purpose. I did it to myself because I just wanted to make sure that I still was keeping my toes in both worlds, just in case I came up to my year mark or was getting closer to that and decided that I absolutely hated it. It kept me incredibly busy, and also, to be transparent, like super stressed out, because it was just so much going all the time. And I'm used to handling that to a degree, but it was just too much. So over the summer, at the beginning of the summer, I finally decided, hey, I'm going to take a couple of months out of the salon and just see what that's like, to just give myself a break and just have this one job and just be able to concentrate on that. And then in my free time, I can actually work on my learning and my self-study. And that was really, really nice. So since that time, I have drastically adjusted my salon schedule to only go in a few days a month and just chunk everybody in those days, and have sent them referrals to my clients if that doesn't work for them, because I totally understand my schedule and my way of doing things is not conducive to other people's hair expectations, and that is totally fine. But this is the journey that I'm on, and this is just what's happening. So here's referrals if that doesn't work for you. So yeah, working every day. And also I'm in a band. So I have band practice twice a week. So working Monday through Friday, having band practice twice a week, and then going into the salon pretty much every day that those weren't happening, it was just too much. And I did it to myself. I take total responsibility, but I just wanted to see and make sure. And yeah, so that didn't work. I have stopped that since then. That experiment is over because I'm more clear on the direction that I want to go in and just the space that needs to be allowed to continue going in that direction. So what else has not worked? So from a Scrum Master's perspective, my job as a Scrum Master and IT project manager, the question that I wondered for so long when I first started was not only being confused about what all of this stuff is, but understanding where teams got their work from. Where we're doing this sprint planning, where are you getting this work? I have no idea where this is coming from. Most of it is way over my head. I don't understand what pipelines are, what all of this cool technology is that you're talking about. And things, but clearly it needs to happen because you're saying it needs to happen, but how do you know that it needs to happen? And where are you determining that this is what you're going to work on next? So I guess to boil that down into a nice sentence, what didn't work is not having more frequent planning meetings with the team and not having some kind of backlog where you are going through and determining what needs to be worked on, what is priority, what has to happen first in order to get this thing done. So not having those things in place did not work. And I mean, the teams were still super productive for sure, but I feel like now that we have implemented those things as I have learned and recognized, hey, this needs to happen, it is working so much better. And we can actually plan where everybody's time goes and how many resources are available to do these projects, and what actually is the most relevant and crucial to help the business grow. So those, hair clientele every day and not having a backlog, those I think didn't work, or those are the two main things that I think didn't work. So what are the lessons learned? I'm naturally a very reflective person, so I love thinking about this stuff because I continuously want to improve. I have a goal in mind, or what I want life to look like, and am willing to have lots of uncomfortable conversations with myself and kind of dissect and analyze where my behaviors are blocking me from having those things. So the lessons learned, the first one that really came to mind is, for so long I had so much pride, an incredible amount of pride in being self-employed. Like, look at me, I'm doing it on my own. I don't need that. I don't need that structure. I'm not working a 9 to 5. I was really, really proud of that. And I still am. And so going from being self-employed to a 9 to 5, I almost felt like I sold out. And oh my gosh, I've worked so hard to get to this point where I can call the shots and make my own schedule and have this freedom, and I'm giving that up to be a 9 to 5er. But what I have learned is that if you are in the right environment, if you are in the right fit with the right team, it doesn't feel like a 9 to 5. Also, caveat, because I have mostly been working remotely, that also does not make it feel like a 9 to 5 at all, which I love. I love, love, love. So like I talked about at the very beginning, it has worked really well for me to work remotely. So I don't feel like I'm a 9 to 5er, so I don't feel like I've sold out. I find that in a sense I have even more freedom now because I have location independence, which has been a goal for years. I wanted to be location independent for years, and obviously it is not very likely going to happen if you are a hairstylist. Your butt has to be somewhere physically to do the things, and chances are it's going to be in the same spot physically, or else you're not going to have a clientele. So now that I have given up that pride and the idea of having to be self-employed or an entrepreneur to have that freedom, I realize that I have much more freedom now. So that was a tremendous shift in how I viewed everything, and is a huge lesson learned. And it feels so freeing to have that realization and not keep myself in this box of an entrepreneur identity. It's been great. Another thing that I have learned is, when I first started this journey, I was attracted to tech because of the ability to work remotely, and also, let's be real, because typically salaries are higher in the tech world. So there's a movement called FI, or FIRE, the FIRE movement, Financial Independence, Retire Early, that I have been following for quite a few years. I love personal finance. I think it's super important, and yeah, it's a really intimidating topic to talk about money. However, making good choices and being educated about what those choices can lead to down the road, for example, compound interest, is incredible. So learning about that and setting up the vehicles to achieve that in my lifetime have been a huge priority for me. And I was, for so long, I want to reach FI so I can retire early. I want to be retired by 35. I want to be, like, crazy unrealistic for me expectations. Maybe if I had started this when I was like 18, it could happen, because there are absolutely people younger than me that are already retired, and good on them. But my life went differently. So I now realize that, like, hey, my goal is not to necessarily retire and just do nothing, because when I've thought about what I'm doing, like, even if I didn't have to work, I still would want to do something. I still love learning. I love feeling my brain expanding. I love thinking about things in a new way. I love, for lack of a better term, being the dumbest person in the room and constantly asking questions because I'm just trying to keep up. It's really intimidating, but it feels really, really good to feel that expansion in my brain happening. So I think as long as I'm able to work remotely and have the right environment and teams and boss and whatever that looks like, I can keep going, and the desire for early retirement is no longer there. Like, yes, of course I want financial independence to be able to make my own choices. Money is a tool, and it gives you the ability to make choices and also frees you up to help people out more, to give back in a bigger way because you're not so strapped for cash. So I love that, and that is what I have learned, which kind of goes back hand in hand with that I have more freedom now, and just what is the word I'm looking for? Just reconfiguring what my goals are and what I am actually seeking in this journey. So now, one more thing, lesson learned. I'm still pretty clear that I don't want to be a project manager long term. I absolutely see the merit and the value of being a project manager, and I think by nature I'm good at it because I love when things get done and things get done on time. It feels great, but I think that can really assist me in other roles that I would like to pursue. I don't think I need to stay a project manager forever, and I don't necessarily want to. So I'm still pretty clear about that, but I'm very, very grateful for it right now. So moving forward, what I want to do differently or continue to do is definitely continue networking and just putting myself out there. Yes, I will probably be one of the few females in the room, and I am a-okay with that. In fact, that just happened last week. It was the first time that I really have been like pretty much the only female in a group of probably like maybe 15 or 20 men, super smart guys, all really, really nice. But I was like, yep, I'm here and I'm going to take up space. I will silently sit here and I will listen and absorb, but I am here. And that felt good. So I definitely want to continue being in those situations, networking with more people, asking the right questions, continuing to educate myself and move through this Snow College networking and cybersecurity program, and whatever other opportunities come from that or the relationships that are formed through this opportunity. So I'm definitely still going to do that and just put myself out there as much as possible when it feels good and when it feels aligned and when I have the energy to, because sometimes you just don't, so I won't. But when I'm feeling it or it feels like an inspiring thing to go to, I sure shit will be there. And I think that I will also do a lot better and continue to maintain a better balance of my hair clientele and my creative outlets. Once I get into the salon and I'm doing hair, when I'm doing my monthly hair schedule now, it is so awesome. The clientele that I have left, they are amazing, incredible humans, and it's just like hanging out with people. Plus I'm doing their hair and it's a beautiful experience. So, but I just need to do better at making sure that my energy levels are maintained, that I still have time to study, and that is the priority right now, is to advance this new chapter of life. So just maintaining and prioritizing that part of the journey and manage my time better in that way so I don't get burned out and so I don't get crazy scatterbrained and stressed out because I just have no time to do the things that I actually want to. So that wraps up the year of having a JOB retrospective. I hope this was helpful. It was a lot of words, but this was a really cool exercise for myself to do and just reflect on and kind of make a loose plan of how to continue moving forward based on what has and hasn't worked. So to summarize, I think as long as I have a remote job where I have the ability to travel, where I can work and play in the same day, or maybe go back and forth. Maybe I go on a walk and then have a couple meetings and then go on another walk and then do some work and then go to the gym or go climbing or go play music or go to band practice. That to me feels really good. I like having that, at least right now. That could change in the tomorrow, that could change the next few years, but for right now, that works really, really well. So, and as long as I have the right environment and the right teams to support that, and I'm around people that want people to be the best version of themselves because they see how